When I was younger, I used to work in the reptile trade in California. And I had a job where, I dealt with a lot of snakes and lizards and frogs and turtles and all kinds of stuff. And we bred quite a few of them. And there was times when there was thousands of snakes on the premises. And I remember having all this knowledge about reptiles and then seeing people who would come across something like a harmless garter snake or a gopher snake or something and freak out and run as fast and as far as they could to get a shovel or something to kill this snake with, that was probably, going to eat the rodents and pests around their home and never ever present a threat. And I remember that really bothering me, not because so much that, the loss of the individual life of the snake is a problem, but I just remember it bothering me because it just seemed so irrational. It seemed so uneducated. And I didn't want my daughters to be like that. I wanted my daughters to learn about things. Now, it's completely human nature to see a snake and jump, because if it is a venomous snake, then, obviously you want to not get bit by that. But then once you've got an opportunity to think about it, then you've kind of got to use your rational mind. So I didn't want my daughters to have irrational fears. Well, I started looking inside my own self and thinking about my own fears that may be irrational. And I had spent my entire life, in spite of all my exposure to reptiles, very afraid of spiders. So in looking into that and trying to figure out what I was going to do about that to not pass on any irrational fears to my daughters and teach my daughters that thinking things through is absolutely essential and not making assumptions is very important. We've come to a bit of a different place in this house. Behind me right now is our tarantula collection, started by Liesl and I, and pretty much everybody, including Cheryl, has gotten involved. And now would be the time to turn off this video if you don't want to see any spiders. If you're curious, then stay with us, and I'm going to go through and show all of them with the help of Liesl and maybe the other girls. Before we go into that, one of the other lessons that I wanted to make sure that the girls got out of this was that they, like I said, that they didn't have irrational fears, but also that they didn't just always fall back on things that seem like they might be factual. Some of you saw this and went, but tarantulas are poisonous and they can kill you. And yes, they are poisonous. So are bees. So are ants. So are virtually everything that can bite you and doesn't have an allergic reaction, but actually injects some level of poison. But as far as tarantulas actually harming you or doing any real damage, the Western world tarantulas are much less painful when they bite than the Eastern world. Typically, that's sort of a generalization. But besides that, there is not a single tarantula, to my knowledge right now, not a single tarantula bite on record anywhere in the world that's ever even caused any kind of permanent damage. And nothing that's ever come close to anybody dying. There may be anaphylactic shock, but I've never heard of it, and I can't seem to find any in the medical literature. So these are, most of everything that we have here are very docile animals that even if they did decide they wanted to get grumpy, and we can tell when that's happening, but even if they did decide that and they bit us, we're probably in for something that's might be like a wasp or a bee. And none of us have ever even remotely had a close call, and we've been doing this for more than a year. So let's look at some spiders. All right, so this is my partner in crime, Liesl, when it comes to our tarantula collection, and we're going to go over them one at a time. Got a really cool one here that I want to show you to start with, and I'm going to turn the light out so that I can get a, hopefully we don't scare her too much, so that I can get a, Liesl, will you grab the brush over there? Sure. So that we can move her a little bit. She's holding on here, you can see, Let's see if I can get her to back up onto the door of the lid here. There we go. So that you guys can see this, because I don't know how well that is showing up on the camera, but oh, dang it, I think it's too bright. But her legs are bright purple and her back is turquoise. So I don't think that's coming through on the video here, which is kind of bumming me out. But let's see, maybe if we turn this light back on, you guys can get more of it. No, not really. All right, that is an Avicularia versicolor, which is a versicolor pink toe. All right, next spider. This one down here is another super bright colored one, but she's again is not in the best place. Oh, there you go. You can see a little bit better there. She has bright blue legs, if we can pick that up on the camera. And again, a sort of turquoise carapace. You can see she's a heavy webber. She makes a lot of webs. She'll run into her hole when I open this, but a whole bunch of webbing in there. And that's her little hole that she lives in. That one is called a green bottle blue. That's the common name. How about some big ones? Yeah, go ahead and get yours out.
This is my spider, Izzy.
This was Liesel's first tarantula. And she looks like that. She's super fluffy.
She's a curly hair.
Super fuzzy. Curly hair, I believe the scientific name is Brachypelma albiceps. Do you want me to pick her up and then hand her to you?
Sure.
Keep the camera on her if you would. And I'll see if we can pick her up here. Come on, sweetie.
She is very docile.
Yeah, you can see how slow she's moving.
She's like an Eeyore version of a spider.
Yeah. Come on. Come on. Come on. Oh my goodness, she doesn't even want to be picked up today. Come on. There we go. You want to hold her, Liesel?
Sure.
Oh. These are some of the most gentle spiders in the pet trade.
Dad?
These curly hair spiders. All right. Okay, these next three here are Grammostola pulchripes, and they are all Chaco golden knees. They're all three the same kind. So we'll just show you one of them. Go ahead and put the light on her. You know, that light is just coming off too bright. Maybe we don't need it.
I can hold it up here.
No, we don't need it. So you can see those nice pretty golden knees on her. Fairly certain that that one's a female. She needs water, but when we're done making this video, we're actually going to feed some. Maybe we'll show you one of those too. All right, the next two here are a couple of arboreal species. And this one might try to run away when I pick it up, but this is one of our bigger spiders. Let's set her down here. Why don't you unscrew the lid, Liesel?
Should I use the light?
No, I think we're good.
Not even on here? Okay.
Yeah, that's probably okay. Let's turn it and see if we can get some more light on her. So, yeah, let's try the flashlight. So you can see her down in there and looking from the side. That is a fairly big spider. I'd guess her leg lengths are probably something like 5 inches total all the way across. Maybe even a little bit bigger. And it looks like she needs water too. And she is a Trinidad chevron, Psalmopius cambridgei, if I'm saying that right. Was that great big one. And here is a very common spider in the pet trade called a pink toe. Close relative of the bright colored one that I showed you first. Scientific name Avicularia. This one is Avicularia avicularia. And I think you can see her pink toes in there if you look close. The girls named her Polish because she looks like she's got polish on her toes. She's pretty tiny, been growing pretty slow, sometimes a finicky eater, but another interesting fact is that they can go a very, very long time without eating. I mean, like literally months, and do just fine. This is Sabitha. She is our very first tarantula, and she's a Chilean rose hair, and you can see some of that rose color picking up on her carapace there. Interestingly, all of these tarantulas, all of the non-arboreal species that we've showed you so far, they all have what's called urticating hairs. So if you got one that's stressed out, you'll see a bald spot on their rump, and that means that they've been flicking hairs, and those hairs are their first line of defense as opposed to biting. And those hairs will get in your skin, and they sting and itch and cause rashes. It's not fun. This is another really common tarantula in the pet trade. There is a Guatemalan red rump tarantula in here, and we're not going to bug her because she is in the process of, well, she's getting ready to molt. Where tarantulas, when they grow, just like crustaceans and insects and all other arachnids, they shed their skin in order to be able to grow. So this is a Brachypelma sabulosum, or Guatemalan red rump. Now I don't really need to show you her because she looks very much like another spider that I will show you next. This is a Mexican red rump, and if we get in the right light, you can see those red hairs on her rump. Try the light on her, yeah. You can see the red rump there with that light. And she is a Brachypelma vagans. People call them B. vagans or V. vagans, and it sounds like Bilbo Baggins to us, so they named this one Bilbo, even though it's probably a female. Okay, now for some smaller spiders. This is a Brachypelma smithii, or a Mexican red knee. I don't think the light's doing it much justice, but she's a big fatty too, and you can see next to my hand that she's not very big. She's not a big spider. Gentle though, typically pretty slow moving. Really cool spider, been around the pet trade for a very long time. Oftentimes the type of spider that you'll see in movies. This is another one of my favorites, called a Grammostola pulchra. The spider is just jet black, its entire body. And again, another cool spider, easy to handle. Very usually pretty slow moving, great eater, easy to take care of. Very cool. We named her Jet because she's jet black. This is a Nandu carapoensis, or a Brazilian red. Got sort of a red hue to it. This spider's been a really good eater for us, and thus far not too crazy. Kind of remains to be seen how she's going to end up. I'm not sure how well you can make that out in the picture, but those hairs have sort of on the camera here, but those hairs have a reddish hue to them. She's kind of got pink undertones. Really pretty spider. This spider I'm going to show you up here. She's really skittish, and when I open this up, she's going to run away. This is a Haitian giant bird eater. Even though it's called a Haitian giant bird eater, it doesn't get anywhere near as big as the biggest spiders out there. Formictopus canceroides. Let's see if we can see her before she bolts. No, she already bolted. And I'm not going to dig that one out because she's really fast. To be honest, she isn't even that pretty. Kind of just a handful of a spider. She's never been mean, but too fast and too crazy. Here's another awesome one. This is a Brazilian giant black and white. And you can see the cool pattern she's got. And the scientific name is Acanthoscuria brocklehursti. She's a really cool spider, a great eater. Matter of fact, let's feed her right now. We'll just toss
Can
her
we feed another one too, Dad?
a mealworm, and you guys can probably see her eat. Boom. Man, that was so fast, I think she got off camera. And there she goes. Gonna go eat it. Cool. This is a Lasiodora parahybana, oftentimes in the pet trade known as an LP. Little bit squirrely spider, but she's going to be huge, like very close to the largest in the world. She's not the largest in the world, but pretty dang close to 10-inch leg spans. So if you can imagine that, she's going to be about as big as a dinner plate. Pretty big spider. She's a little bit squirrely, never tried to bite anybody or given us a threat posture or anything, but she is going to be big. So she's still totally a juvenile, and she's nearly as big as half of our other tarantulas, our bigger tarantulas. This is Puff. This is another one just like Liesel's. Another Brachypelma. Oh, I said albiceps on the last one. Sorry, that was incorrect. Brachypelma albopilosum is the, and I'll correct that in the video. But this is another curly hair, really docile, cool tarantula, super fat right now, and she's also she's stopped eating, which is indicative that she's gonna get ready to molt. But yeah, one of my favorites for sure. Here's another awesome one. This is a Megaphobema robustum, which is a Colombian giant redleg. And you will be able to see why. Her entire leg, all of her legs, well, all the way up to the femur, the last little segment of leg, is all bright orange. She's a little timid. She likes to hide. Otherwise a good eater. Not a bad tarantula. When you have to get in there and mess with her, she's really gentle. She's just timid. And last but not least, this is our Nandu chromatus, which looks very much like the Brocklehursti that I showed you earlier, except she's got a little bit different striping on her leg. It's also going to get really big. Hasn't been eating lately, and I suspect that she's going to go into pre-molt, but I think we're going to try one more time today and see what happens. And just for fun, the girls also wanted me to show you our western hognose snake. His name is Dinky Dude Car Wash. He was named by this one right here when she was 3, I think. Capri named him. And that's what comes out of the mind of a 3-year-old. Pretty docile snake. In case you haven't noticed from this video, docile tends to be one of the key factors in whether or not we're interested. So when we first got these guys, or I think probably mostly girls, I guess I neglected to mention that earlier, that we were hoping that most of these are girls, because the female tarantulas can live in excess of 20 years and the males usually don't even live half of that. But
I think we have maybe a couple males, but they mostly girl, female.
But when we first got them, you were really open-minded. I mean, especially, I think, like the stereotypical sitcom family usually paints the mom as being the one that's terrified of this kind of stuff. And you were fairly open-minded, but I know you had some of the same reservations where you kind of jumped to conclusions the same way that, anybody would. Yeah,
probably 10, maybe even 5 years ago, I would have thought, you want to get a what? And that I would have maybe had some reservations, but growing up, I had a fear of snakes and spiders, and I just kind of had all these ideas that people get in their head. I didn't have the facts, but in movies and what you hear and see from other people, or influenced maybe by other people, ooh, they're creepy crawly, oh, they're scary, they're so fast and they scare you, and with snakes, they're slimy, and I would jump and be afraid no matter what. But it's been a great lesson for me, because Jason worked with snakes a lot, and had this idea he didn't want our kids to be afraid. And I thought that was kind of cool, because I was really afraid, and learning the facts and what you told me was really cool. what I learned, and you really don't need to be afraid of them. And I was able to kind of open my mind and look at that, and I think it's probably a good lesson. I tell my clients all the time, they're like, you have spiders in your bedroom? And they're just totally creeped out by it. And I was very much so creeped out by spiders. I was okay with the snakes and the turtles and all of that, but when he said he wanted to get spiders,
well, I should say snake. We've only ever had one.
Snake,
It wasn't
yeah.
like now we're sitting here staring at 20 spiders as we film this.
Yeah, but it was good because when he said he wanted to get a spider, I just think of somebody holding a spider and I would just crawl. I mean, it just makes my skin crawl. And all my ideas in my head is, oh, they're poisonous and you get bit and they can kill you and they're mean and they sense your fear when you're holding them. How can these people hold them and they don't sense their fear?
They give them so much credit. Like
Right,
they're sensing fear now.
Right. So those were my ideas, and then once he was like, let's learn about them. And
yeah, I did what I do about everything, and just dug in and started researching like crazy, and it was like all I read forever. And here here's
Sabbatha?
No, that's Izzy.
Izzy and Puff are the same.
She's actually eating right now. Has a cricket right there in her mouth, so we better leave her alone. But here they are, like a year later, and they're kind of like, somebody said they're kind of like Lay's potato chips. Once you get one, you end up getting a bunch, because you guys saw this whole collection earlier. There's in the amount of space that we have, 20 of them, and they go so long when they need to without eating. We can go on vacation. We'll go to Disneyland. You just give them all water before you leave, and nobody even has to look at them, which is great because my mom's afraid of them. She'll look at them and she doesn't act terrified in front of the girls, which is cool. But nobody would want to take care of them. We would never expect that.
I've definitely learned, I don't know if it's an age thing or getting older, but not to judge and just be open-minded, because I literally, like 2 days after you decided you wanted to get some tarantulas, I was like holding one and totally fine with it. And I wasn't like, okay, here we go.
Right, I know. You looked like you had done it forever.
I'm totally cool because I know about these things now, and they're gonna warn me if they're ticked off. And
that's the message we want to impart on the girls.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Anyway,
they aren't afraid.
Yeah, I love that they've gotten they've come this far with them. So, tell us what you think. Throw your opinions or terrors or questions down there in the comments, and I will be happy to do my best to answer them. If you got any questions for Cheryl, I'll make sure she sees them too.
Sure.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.